You're good.
Okay. How to begin? Yeah, welcome to my Korean studies mukbang video. Today we'll be eating a side of steamed dumplings as well as a hot plate, or a hot bowl, I suppose you could say. Yeah, so let's dig in, gang. It's very good. So admittedly, I don't know much about a lot of Korean cuisine, intricacies, as I'm not from there, nor have I been there, and nor have I really had access to their food as a whole. But what I do know is that, for example, with steamed dumplings, the traditional way to make them goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years, which of course involves taking kneaded dough, sticking any sort of protein or vegetables in it, or even folding them plain. Folding them and then steaming them in what's called a bao, I believe, which is a bamboo-made steaming trunk, and then steaming them for a couple minutes and serving them ideally fresh. Now these ones are beef, so beef of course being widely available in Korea for many centuries. Still just as delicious as they were hundreds of years ago. Now, while this is a very beef-heavy dish, most dishes, especially nowadays, are served with rice on the side, just both as a nutritional bump, as rice is very nutritionally dense, very rich in carbs, as well as a nice palate cleanser in between heavier portions of the dish, or dishes, I suppose you could say. Now, of course, you could top it with, say, soy sauce or any other sauces, such as the couple that I have here. Me personally, however, I'm not a huge fan of these sauces specifically. Not that they're not good, mind you, it's just not my personal palate. And of course, all this food came from an authentic Korean restaurant. There's actually many in London. I highly recommend any of them. If you're ever in the area or looking for a good bite to eat. Of course, Korean food, much like their culture, have kind of evolved and changed over the many, many years. Of course, traditions waned and new ones came from them, with some staples such as these staying throughout the entire thing. And of course, this has been no more prevalent than modern times, where a lot of seafood, such as eel-based dishes or sea fish-based dishes, or even crustacean-based dishes such as crab, have been kind of phased out with kind of the dying out of older generations and the upbringing of new generations. As with many places throughout the world, a lot of newer and younger people, they wish to eat, the traditional Western staples such as beef, pork, and chicken when they can. And that, of course, has kind of led to a great divide between the older generations and their customs and their traditional foods, and the more westernized, more, I suppose you could say, well, I'm not quite sure what you could say, but the newer generation, I suppose is another word for it. Which of course is seen anywhere from TV to film to even just how people conduct themselves on the streets, what businesses they work with, what businesses they like to purchase from. Which of course is an interesting dichotomy both in Korea with their culture and their culture divide, as well as the rest of the world, such as, for example, here in Canada, to give a parallel of the two, where we're seeing something similar, in which a lot of older generations, their foods and their traditions surrounding those foods are being phased out for more Americanized staples, such again, chicken, pork, beef, while in Canada, for a good few hundred years, even before a lot of other things, you had foods such as a lot of fisheries. You had a lot of indigenous crops and grains that were grown. Corn was a really big one, and those were phased out, of course, once the Spanish Inquisition and the French and English settlers came through, and we're still seeing the effects of that today. Something, of course, similar happened again in Korea, with a lot of reforms, albeit those political reforms, those cultural reforms aforementioned, and of course you had cuisine reforms, and those stemmed from normally once a dynasty was overthrown, traditionally a lot of those dishes were fallen out of favor to the new emperors or empresses' favorite dishes, which then became the focal point of that dynasty's eating habits. So, with that said, of course, you have to take into account that I am not a historian. I am not really well versed in the intricacies of that historical significance. Of course, I would love to be, just as anyone would love to be, I'm sure. But what I do know is that from it all, a lot of staples have sustained through different dynasties. And throughout many years and different decades, such of course going back to rice, any proteins such as beef. So yeah.